guess what we've got today? A very pink Fender, little Jazzmaster to mess around with. We're going to be addressing quite a common problem on these, which is the saddles. They've got a terrible tendency for the strings to just skip around on top of them as you play, especially if you play with a little bit more of a spirited right hand, you know. So we're going to be addressing that. We're going to be giving our setup. We're going to be throwing a nice fresh set of elixirs on, because elixirs are the best. Not sponsored. Wish I was. If you fancy doing something like that, feel free. Right, I'm going to pop you on a tripod. What we're going to have to do is shim the neck, by the way. I'll tell you what, I'll walk you through what's going to go down, because the issue with these bridges, as I say, is that the string tends to slip across the top of them. And it happens because the break angle across the back of them just isn't sufficient to keep them in the one slot. So the best thing you can do to try and minimize that happening is basically to make sure that the neck angle is set so that the plane that it creates leaves the bridge height high enough to have a sharp enough angle when the string comes off the back of it there and goes down to the tremolo. And it's because that's miles away from the bridge. You get a really shallow angle there. So what we're going to be doing is putting a little shim in the neck, change the angle so that that plane is a little higher, so that the bridge can be lifted slightly to achieve the same relative action on the fretboard. But we want to make sure that at the back of these strings, we want this string to just clear the back of the actual bridge chassis itself, because that'll give as much break angle as possible, and it'll stop the string from being able to pop out of its groove. So I think we'll de-string her and we'll get the neck off first. So I shall pop you on your trusty tripod. Right, we'll pop these strings off first. Also, I noticed in the last videos that the audio quality was terrible, and as soon as I moved away from the camera at all, you couldn't hear what I was saying. So I've invested a very small amount of money in a little Bluetooth lav mic. So hopefully the audio will be better this time. And if I disappear off this way somewhere and end up down here talking to myself, you'll still be able to hear what I'm waffling. Which, yeah, I'm so happy for you. Right. I really need an electronic string winder. I've been thinking that for years. I want snippies. Snipperoo. These strings are mint. Get you off there. Get you off there. Get you off there. The finish on this is lovely. It's got a lovely deep luster. I mean, the pink's a bit of a stylistic choice, let's say. But the actual paint job on it's lovely. Right, get rid of them. Take you off so you don't start causing trouble. Brush some of the rubbish off her. And you're in the wrong place, aren't you? What's going on there? Where did I ever have that? That used to fit. I swear down that used to fit. Right. We want the neck off, don't we? As a point of priority. I'm gonna cheat and do it the easy way. No, I'm not. Needs a battery in it. See ya. Somewhere here. Oh no, somewhere here there should be an end for this. I do recall seeing that lying around somewhere and thinking I should really move that. I do believe I threw it back in here. There it is. Definitely want a lot less torque than that. You want it on slow. Always take things off in a star pattern. And always try and take them off bit by bit. Out you come. Once you get the tension off, it doesn't matter what order you do them in. You may have new microphones down, but speaking over the top of a drill, there's still quite a lot to ask of it. And yeah, they didn't cost a lot, so Amazon cheap specials. Although there was someone there that looked absolutely awful. I know it's not the best quality. I've had a little test of it and a little listen. I know it's not the best quality in the world, but at least it's going to stay with me and I shall be intelligible, or to the best of my ability. Right, back plate off. And neck. Off. Out you come. Out you come. Right. So, we need to make a little shim for her. So we need a rough idea of the size. Doesn't have to be particularly perfect. It's going to sit inside the pocket. You want to cover it as well as possible, realistically. So what's that, 55 mil? 55 millimeters. And then we need some material to cut it. I'll tell you what, I'll move you around so you can see what I'm doing. Right, so we need about 55 mil wide collar off this. So create me one edges for it. 55 mil. Thereabouts. Doesn't have to be massive. And perfectly acceptable to just eyeballing the length of it, but what we're going to do is, and this isn't perfectly accurate, but it's better, and I'm going to take the line that I've already made, whether that's perpendicular or not, and I'm going to look at something that's approximately perpendicular to that. Somewhere around about there. Let's make a line. We can cut across because it's only going to have to be about that deep. You want it somewhere between a third and a half of the size of the neck pocket, really, the length of it. Sort of tilt the headstock wise. Right, well, it's going to need corners on it, and they really don't have to be absolutely perfect. Oh, that was all the way through there. Can you even see me there? Yeah, you can still see. It's not pretty. It doesn't have to be.
something along those lines will do the trick. There's better ways to do this if the customer was so inclined. If they wanted, that's a little bit squishy. That I'm gonna straighten that up. Yeah, you can buy pre-made shims if you didn't want to make one. Because it is slightly better in theory to use wood. Although if you AB2 guitars, you will not tell the difference. By the time you squash it that much, it's essentially the same thing. The transfer of vibration is not dulled by a card by the time it's compressed in the neck pocket at all. Lots of Fender guitars come from the factory with card shims in the neck. I've seen them with plastic shims in the neck. Now that I would disagree with a little bit more. Anyway, right now we need to get this in the neck pocket. So we just want to see that it fits. Lovely jubbly. I'm happy with how far down that goes. The longer you make it, by the way, the more angle you will change. If you make it really short, you'll get a slightly shallower angle, and then obviously you can double up layers, and between those you can get them perfect. I would have made as I say, a wooden one, but it's not always worth it. And to make them, you need to cut the shape out, and then sand it sideways on a sander, and you can get them wafer thin and wedge shaped. But that does take quite a bit of doing. And if you buy them, that's surprisingly expensive. So right now we need to make sure that the holes are in place for hither and dither. There's two ways to do that. You can do it through the back and poke them through, but you can sort of turn yourself into a drill press and auto centerer by just holding it above where the hole is and then sliding the material under. Holes there. Slide the material. Poke exactly where you are. And we have two holes. Lovely jubbly. I need to clean them up a little bit. First of all, you want anything sticking through to be on one side of the hole. You want it both on the same side. I shouldn't screw that so far in. As I'm screwing out, I'm pushing down a little bit just to try and keep all the material on that side. And then what I usually do is I'll chop a little bit off with a blade, because you can get some of the thicker bits quite easily with a blade. Very old way to work around this guitar. Oh, I should move you anyway. You can't even see me anyway. Hasn't it? That's better. Chop those off with the blades so that they're flush. And enlarge them a little. I want them to be oversized. Don't want this to interfere with the screws particularly. It's not the end of the world if a couple of fibers get into the threads, though. It's going to secure the screw in the neck slightly better. Not that it needs it, but it doesn't hurt. You don't want all of that poking through. This towel's not ideal. Not without moving you. I just move the towel out. Much easier on a flat surface. Also much easier with a fresh blade, like. I should probably change my blades. Get rid of all that and put you back. And all that. Right. We have a shim. And the holes line up lovely. Beautiful. So I'll put you back on a different stand. And we can pop the neck back on now. Just for safety's sake, let's chuck this blade in there. I don't mean my own safety, I mean the guitars. And throw him back up hither. Actually, I'm going to need that in a second, aren't I? Right. Let's move you out of the way before something happens with you. Just two. I want the neck in reach. Pins in place. When reinstalling the neck, you want it all the way in and then push down. You don't want to install them downwards, sort of towards the tail. You want to install them downwards towards the back plate, towards the heel. And then I'll pop our back plate on and get a couple of screws just started. In fact, while I've got my hands free, I'll get them all started. Right, where's that drill? I'm not doing that all by hand. I can reach you. There it is. Right, and then do the final little nip by hand. Lovely. Let's check the first one again. We're all good. We've got a neck back in place. Lovely jubbly. And now, the line that it makes will intersect the bridge much higher. So we'll be able to lift the bridge and get more angle. I'm able to do this by eye just from experience because I've done a lot. But yeah, if you've never done this before, it might take a bit of trial and error or some measurement and advice from others. Well, there's plenty of Facebook forums and stuff. I mean, a good few Lulia's Builders forums and stuff that are very helpful. Although they're not always the most helpful thing in the world, to be fair. I've seen a lot of instances of people asking, someone will ask a simple question and they'll get everything but a straight answer. They'll get every other answer under the sun of why you should and shouldn't do this, and this doesn't make a difference. And people a lot of the time don't really take someone's situation into context. So like if someone's asking and they're just starting to play guitar or something, for instance, and they're starting to ask about gear or a particular pedal or something, and it's some like a particular let's say they're asking about, do I need to buy a Strymon delay? Like, is it worth it? And someone's asked that question as a beginner. It's a very different answer that you give them versus if someone's asked that question as a gigging musician who's currently using a different setup and wants, you know what I mean? So it's very personal as to what you do with your guitar, and a lot of people on these forums and the Facebook groups just don't really seem to get that. And everyone has to do it their way, sort of thing. I mean, I suppose there's probably a lot of keyboard warriorship going on. It's not in quite as good nick as the paint work like. Let's try and get the majority of that muck off while we've got access to all of the understring parts. What is that? An aberration on the board. It's not going to come off that. Right. With a micro vibrant. Much more satisfying when they're filthy. This was okay to start with. I do tend to still use a little bit of compound, just because it really helps lift the dirt, and it still does help bring the luster back, especially with the plastics and stuff like that. Ooh, that hurt. You are tight, aren't you? Yes. Another common problem with these is that there's a nut under here that comes off if it's not tightened properly or thread locked in place. And people very, very often have issues where their arm just sort of falls into the trem. They're not that intimidating by the time you get them apart. I know they look like they're quite scary to a lot of people. Will you stop doing that to us? Shiny. I'm just like a big crow, really. I've always found, since I worked in retail for a lot of my first sort of jobs, well, not sort of jobs, yes, jobs. I've worked in retail quite a bit, and I've always noticed when selling things, and it's the same for vehicles and guitars and stuff like that, or things to do with hobbies as well. If you make the black bits look blacker and the shiny bits look shinier, everything looks newer. Like, if you just focus on that, make the black bits look darker and the shiny bits look lighter, like, makes a big difference. That's not good. I don't like that. I'll show you actually. Put you on pod here. You see that? At least I get some satisfaction from cleaning some proper marks off the paint. And the microfiber. Beautiful. There we go. That's better, isn't it? That's all the little stuff. Right, so we need to do the frets. We've got the fretboard to do. That'll do. I've got some wool here, that'll do. For the first little bit. There is some grime on here, like. There's a little grime. I'll do a bit more of a rough pass with this first bit. Tends to make sense to collect the heaviest of the dirt in one piece of whatever you're using to clean. and then use a fresh piece and go back at it, and you're not wiping it around as much. The cleaner it is, the more readily it'll impregnate. I say that, and then by the time you start polishing the fret, you can't help but just keep going. It takes so much willpower to stop a fret and move to the next one before it's actually done. I think it might be time to move on to a new piece of wool. Let's just give it the most cursory little of rubs. Yeah, that's falling apart now. Get a fresh piece. We'll get a decent sized bit. And do a few frets at once then.
That blurry. There we go.
Pick up as much of the swarf as possible with a magnet. I understand why some people don't like using wire wool. I find it's manageable as long as you've got magnets around, basically, and as long as you do it right. But as you can see, it does throw off quite a bit of shit. I'll use my magnet trick. This makes such a difference to how a guitar feels, this as well, you know. Making sure that the frets are nicely polished. Even when you're not bending, every note that you play, it's got some vibrato on it. It's very, very rare that you'll play a completely straight note. And you can hear it, you can feel it. The little marks in the frets. They become very, very apparent. Right into the edges here, because there's a grime right in the corner. And that always is another thing that makes a big difference. Get right into the corners. Oh, when something's been really nicely cleaned, but the corners haven't been done properly. There we go. Lovely jubbly. Right, pick up any extras. Lying around. Right. Bit of lemon oil. I'm going to move you back to your normal place now. Right, we'll get some lemon oil on this board. There's no need for that to be around anymore. All that. The headstock's clean enough to just give it a little wipe with this. A little bit of moisture. There we go. Just get right in between there. I'll tell you what, while I'm up here, before I forget, I'm going to tighten these tuners up as well. Makes a big difference for tune stability. Yep. Oh, it is very loose. don't want to over tighten them because you can strip them. But as usual, every one of them is wanted to be tightened. Lovely jubbly. Right, get some lemon oil on it. Oil her up real good. Ooh. Ooh. Man, that's satisfying. That never gets old. There's something going on there. That's not the same texture as the rest of the fretboard for some reason. Let me oil up and then investigate. This is really dry. Really dry. This is incredibly dry actually. I might leave this to soak for a while actually. Get it all rubbed right in. It's not just about how much you put on, it's about how much you rub it in. When you're trying to oil woods. Technique makes a big difference. For what it's worth as well, lemon oil is the only product that you really need for fret care. All these fancy things from JHS and Dunlop and Ernie Ball, etc., not to name any names, that are a bit snake oily, to be honest. There's absolutely no need to pay the amount of money that you pay for some of these things, where it's just oil. It's just mineral oil. There's nothing lemon about that oil other than the scent that they add, by the way. It's just mineral oil. It's the same as baby oil. Light mineral oil. You just need to make sure that it doesn't have any strange additives. See if I can even the texture of this bit of fretboard out a little bit, because it feels really weird there. I don't know if there's something on it or if it's been sort of abraded somehow. Oh, that's better. I think there might have just been something on it, to be honest. Sorted. Let's get right in them corners there. Let's not be a hypocrite. Dandy. Absolutely dandy. Lemon oil again. And I'm going to give the whole board another pass, because it's eating up this oil. More. Really does need to sit and soak this. There we go. You can see, it's hard to explain, but you can see as the board takes the oil properly, the sheen, the finish on it just changes a little, where it doesn't take the oil properly. Look at that shine. Look at them shine. Right, you're going back in place. put me lemon oil away. I would normally wipe the excess straight off, but I'm going to give that a little minute to sit. The only problem is I haven't got much left to do other than string this up. I'll need to clean a bridge. That'll do the trick. I'll move you for that, actually. We'll have a little close-up, shall we? Right. Look at that. Look at the state of that. Definitely wants a scrubbing. Definitely wants a scrubbing. Making sure to use a brass brush. Trying to get right into them threads on the club screws as well, get in sideways. Oh! She may protest a little bit, but it's happening. Get right into the springs as well, nation screws. As long as we stay away from the front and back chromed faces, we should be fine. That's clearly not adjusted correctly either, because that certainly shouldn't be sticking out the back of there. But I would say that that's pretty much there. Where are we? Where's the switch? Where's my switch gone? Build a little pressure. Under pressure. If anybody else picked up on the eye of the tiger there, then well done. Right, the bridge can go back on now. And you can go back where you need to be. Right, we'll string her up. Where is my dirtier cloth? And that bit's always nice once you take the oil off the frets and the shine again after they've been polished. Lovely. Lovely jubbly. Right, strings. Go on now. In fact, we'll give the body a little more glow off because a bit more debris on there. A little bit of a white as well. Oh, that's touching something. Something touching something rattly. Give this a little bit more of a wipe just before we cover it over with strings. And let's get this set on. We've got a good enough view there. Not really. That's a little better, isn't it? Right. Let's get these in. Snippies. pull that first one over? Yes, I can. Right, now up. Second string. Fifth string, technically, but whatever. Out you come. Tighten me the whole way, that one. Put a little bend in the end of the string before you push it through the bridge, and that makes it much easier to pick the string up off the flat body of the guitar. I'm going to make this a little longer with this being the A string, because there's no string tree for the A string, but it's starting to get back to basically the A string's always the one that I've seen have problems with not having enough break angle coming off the nut, so that it doesn't have enough pressure holding it down into the slot and it can buzz. So I add a little bit extra string on the A so that there's more windings on the peg, and when there's more windings on the peg, that means that the string leaves the peg from lower down, creating a sharper angle when you get to the nut. And it just helps. Every little just helps a little. It's the guitar is very much a cumulative system of tiny things that make a difference. Probably why people come up against so much problem when they look for a singular answer, usually in the form of gear. I mean, in true musician fashion, I've solved the problem by buying some gear of my audio, haven't I? I hope I've solved it anyway. I've had a few tests of it and it sounded okay. But this will be the true test, doing a proper video with it. Right, we're halfway there. Always like these to be neat. God, you're wrapped really tight, aren't you? Looped under another run of it. There we go. You're going to see so many sets of strings put on so many guitars on this channel. I do hope to endeavour to become more interesting over time as well, but we'll see how it goes. For now, I shall just welcome you into the workshop and let you see what goes on. We've got a B string. I've got an A string. I am determined to kick that tripod. You've still got a decent view by the time I've kicked you a few times. Yeah, of course you do. I'll get the wheels coming around. There we go. That's all you need for strings. That's supposed to be below that though.
You just need a 90-degree bend in the opposite direction once it's through the post. It doesn't need to be much material through the post.
Please, for the love of God, do not put a Luthier's knot in your on your strings. No, Luthier's knot. Luthier's hate them. Trust me. I'm not the only one. Are we in? We're in. Right, now that bridge certainly needs to be raised. We'll get rid of some of these bits of rubbish. I'll start with setting the bridge, and then we shall have a look at the truss. So, that's going to be a 1.5mm Allen key. I bet you. Right, so I'll just tidy some stuff up. 1.5mm Allen key. It's a ridiculously small Allen key for what it does in here. But yes, that's exactly what it is.
Oh, come on. Where are you? Right. Let's get this just eyeballed in. Something like that. That's a little high actually. Yeah, that is too high in relation to the beat. The whole thing is still a little high. Something around there is about right.
What we got in terms of break angle? A much healthier angle coming off the string. Even not tuned to pitch. Everything wants to kind of stay in place. Grand. We'll get a tune to pitch. That's what we shall do next, eh? Where is my cable? Found you. Pluggy, pluggy. I hope you turned her up. Make sure these are all lined up right as well, because knocks your string spacing out. This one's to be slightly further over. There we go. Right. A little bit low on the treble side. Just the E that wants to come up though. So what I'm doing is just making sure that the E is just high enough so that you can get a full note bend out of it. Right up top. Something also is rattling. Just a little. That's usually one of the grub screws. Not quite tightened down properly. Oh, you don't know where to focus there, do you, sunshine? Have I confused you? Lovely. Yeah, it's usually one of the grub screws just not quite seated properly on one of the saddles, so all of the weight of the saddle is held on one screw, and then the other one's free to rattle a little bit. And that's what usually causes that. That should be sound. Excelente. I shall move you back over there. Is everything in focus here? Yeah. I'll give the strings a little stretch, and then we need to check the truss rod. Grand. That B's not quite level as well, and a lot of people quite often wrongly set these so that the saddles each have a radius to them. Not in the height of each saddle, in the angle. So they'll set the outer strings with a slight slope outwards, like that for the lower E and like that for the high E, and we'll sort of graduate the slope. You shouldn't do that because of what I was just on about there about the grub screws not having equal tension. Um, you want the pressure to be equal. You want them to be at the same height. So each individual saddle should be sat square. It shouldn't actually be sat canted at all. Right, let's have a look at the truss rod. What we're dealing with here. A little bit too tight. Actually, no, it's not. Just the treble side. So this isn't a perfectly flat neck. You get away with it on the treble side? Because sometimes you do. You do not get away with it on the treble side. No. So, that's going to need to be loosened. I can also see there that nut height is mega. What's this going to be? It's going to be an 8th or a 3/16 on these. I think it's a 3/16. It is indeed a 3/16. I'm loosening it a little bit, man. Very rare. Loosen it a quarter. Give it a little bow in. And she should be grand. That's looking okay. Oh, that's actually quite sensitive. I can do that up again a little bit. Take that little smidge. They are quite sensitive, Fender truss rods generally. Spot on. A little bit tighter again, actually. It only needs to be loosened very slightly there. Might have been caught up on a little fibre or something. Sometimes that does happen. Right. That 6th fret's a little high. Are you lifting? Nah, it's just uneven way. There's only so much you can do about that. It's still ringing out. The action's about where I would want it. It's roughly where I'd want it. I need to take those nut slots down to be able to see where I'm actually at with this. You can come with me. Right. Let's get the treble down first. I'll tell you what, we'll take it off that extra stand because that does not help stability whatsoever. Treble needs to come down just a little here. It's not a lot that needs to move. Very, very gentle. I'm also making sure that I'm taking material off in the same plane as what the string leaves the nut, and that usually results in having to take a bit more material off the back side than you are at the front side because they're never cut properly. A little smidge more. I'm gonna go a little bit more again. Something like that. You know what? You can get a tiny bit more out of it. There we go. Do a tiny bit more. No, you got much of that. I'll probably do with sharpening this file as well. Grand. B string. Pretty much perfect.
Tiny bit more. G string. Trying not to get my hands in the way so you can see. Much better. A little bit more. Lovely. D string. Bit more. A little bit more. It's always best to take tiny chunks because you can't add it back. Well, you can, but it takes ages. You definitely want to avoid having to do that. D string, I'm going to want to be low again. Give this a little rub. Something like that. I'm very much approaching where I want to be now. There we go. Brilliant. And the A string needs a little bit. Bit more. Tiny bit more. The majority of that was off the back, wasn't it? So I mean, you're shaping the nut slot as well while you're filing it. You're not just trying to get the height right. To do a good job, you're trying to shape it. Right. I like to give all the strings a little push down past the nut as well, because there can be a little bit of tension left in the string, a little bit of an arc as it comes over the nut, sort of just past the nut. It still arches a little bit, and it does help to just give them a little push down. You have to do that a few times when as you retune and stretch as well, because the part of the string that's actually under the nut will move. Right, I'm going to take a tiny little bit off that. Off that. The E, but not loads. Because the E's always the one that wants to flop around on a shorter scale guitar. always. That's better. Right, get them a brush. Smashing. We might as well now take the opportunity to graphite the slots as well. So I'm going to sharpen my little pencil. A little, very thin pencil. Oh, I could really do with a new blade on for doing this. Blade's knackered. No, there's a good and a bad side to it. Oh, I just got a new blade. Just a pain to get out of this bloody holder that I've got them in. There we go. I do have another set somewhere over in a drawer. Right. We want a very thin. Oh, that's a much sharper blade. It's a bit jagged actually. Not ideal. I usually work the blades before I use them. That should give a better result. Oh man, far too eager. There's a better result though, yes. It's much easier. I have no pencil left very soon. Oh, I'm not even in shot. I'm great at this camera thing. As thin as possible. At the tip so we can get it right into the nut slots. There we go, something like that. And then we can get into every slot, give it a proper rub of graphite on the bottom of the slot. For some slippery smooth tuning stability. Pencil the slot properly. Right. How's that truss sitting now? Now that it's had a moment. Man, this neck is all kinds of twisted. All kinds of twisted. Two high frets, right in the middle there. Both of those are high. So that is going to somewhat limit the action.
Can be slightly lower on the bass side there. There we go. Would be nice to address those frets. I'll see what he says, but for now, it is just the setup and the shim. But look how stable those strings are in the slots. They ain't going anywhere. So if it's properly set, you can avoid issue with it. It's only really when you have a particularly shallow angle that these cause problems. They're a silly design, don't get us wrong. Get right into all the cleany bits. Right, give it another quick check of the tune and intonation. A little stretch as well. Same thing as what I was on about just after the note. Just after the tuner as well can also harbour a little bit of string tension in the bend, so you can it can sometimes be worth giving them just a little pull. Right, intonation. Spot on. Spot on. Spot on. Ooh, hang on. Yeah, that sounds right to me. That's coming up slightly flat. Oh, no wonder. There we go. Wasn't pushed all the way into its slot. Better. Slightly sharp. Spot on. Something there's rattling. It's also over this bloody hole. There we go. Perfect. Lovely jubbly. Is there anything else that we need to do with this? I think that's everything, isn't it? I think we're done. I'm going to give her a little clean. A little bit more of a wipe down, but I think that's the setup and everything. Pretty much done. Pick up heights. I need to do the pick up heights. Let's not forget about the pickups. I wish I'd noticed that before on the bridge. Does that wipe off? Oh, it kind of does. Right, that's not a good thing to use for that. Well, that's a lot better than it was. You still see? You still definitely see? Yeah. Little bits of muck. It's bits of corrosion actually sitting on the bridge. I didn't notice while I had it off, so make life a little bit awkward for myself. Put you back. Put you back. Let's snip off the extra little bits of string, if there's any erroneous bits. Oh, get rid. Shield thy eyes, children. Oh, careful now. Give it a good brushing. Where's me lemon oil cloth gone? There she be. Give it a little white over on top of the strings. It just helps everything slip and slide a little. And clean the tuners up. Pretty much just done. I'll give her a little test for you as well. Not that I'm convinced it's going to sound particularly great with this microphone, like, on a guitar. I know it's not ideal on the voice as well. Let us know what you think about it. Is it a worthy improvement from what it was? Because you couldn't hear us, man. So at least you can hear me now. And I haven't got fortunes to be dropping on an expensive, particularly good branded lav mic. I really don't want to be tied to the camera by a wire, because I have to move around too much, and I'll end up tripping over my own feet. I'll end up like like when you take the dog out and they just end up running around you, and you end up all tangled. That's probably going to be a very similar outcome to that. I can turn that off as well. Move a couple of bits out of the way. And we'll give her a test, eh? Oh, no. Pickup heights. I forgot about pickup heights, didn't I? Like I said, I would try not to. So. Not far off, to be honest. But it needs some more. Oh, other way. Some more treble output on the bridge pickup. Sorry, some more bass output on the bridge pickup. God, I'm struggling for the words. A little bit more treble, and a little bit less bass on the neck. Just a smidgen though. Just a smidge on. Okay, maybe a little bit back onto the neck. Maybe you didn't need to take any off the bass. I just needed to add some to the treble, to the bridge. Good Lord, the words have just completely escaped me today, haven't they? Still a little too much there. I'm going to go back just a smidge. Oh. Right, I think that's going to be sound. Let's give her a proper whirl. Right. Give this a little blast. haven't got a plec like. I know that sounds awful, by the way, through the mic. That's got to sound absolutely terrible through this microphone. It's a £10 practice amp that I use as well because it's got no noise gate or anything in it. And you just want as pure and unadulterated a signal as possible when you're trying to repair them. And all the other small amps had like little bits of digital signal processing in them, little bits of DSP here and there that just caused problems, as I say, like a little gate. So when you're trying to listen for like a buzz in a circuit through the amp, and the gate keeps cutting it out because it's that's not loud enough buzz on. It's trying to get rid of it, It's it works against you. But there we go. Oh, caught on there with a string. Put on the cloth there. There we go. One lovely Fender Jazzmaster, all set up. One focus going crazy. All sorted.